Welcome, listeners, to our premiere episode of GNERD CONpalooza, right here on JPOOL's GNERD Corner, presented by Geek-O-Rama.net. Hi there, everybody. I am your host, JPOOL, and on tonight's show, I am joined by my special guest. Give it up for Greg Fennell.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hi there, Greg, and how are you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am doing fine. I hear that you're very busy getting prepared for an upcoming convention.
Yeah, we got Saboten coming up at the end of this month, a little over 3.5 weeks away.
It's so close, and I'm hoping that my Inuyasha costume gets here in time. So, Greg, can you tell the listeners who don't know who you are or what you do, exactly who you are and what you do?
Sure. So my name is Greg Fennell. I am the president and owner of Monkey Paw Entertainment, which owns several anime conventions and now a new furry convention in the Southwest. So I think our total now is 5. One of those of which is Saboten Con, which is our largest con that's happening August 29th through September 1st here in Phoenix, Arizona.
That's awesome. Now, can you tell the listeners how Saboten got started in the first place?
Sure, yeah. Actually, it started because of another anime convention here in Arizona in 2007 at that time, announcing their cancellation. And what happened is after they announced their cancellation, myself, Matt Solberg, and a couple other people announced Saboten about a week after the cancellation of the other convention because we wanted to still have an anime convention here in Arizona. And at that time, the convention that did cancel was the only con in Arizona for anime. So we decided to pick up the torch and keep the community going strong. And I'm quite proud of how our convention family's grown since 2008 to right now in 2014. So.
Exactly. It has gotten much larger, especially the cosplay community, the anime community have really combined to make a fantastic convention. I enjoy it every year.
Thank you.
Now, how long have you been in the convention business?
Actually, I worked at Phoenix Comic-Con the year before that as a volunteer staff, and then really Saboten's the first one that I was in a directorship role. So.
Nice. And do you find it easy to run a convention like this, or it's very complicated and sometimes stressful?
Well, you know, I'll be brutally honest, I guess. I was a senior consulting manager for IBM for almost 10 years, and my job inside of IBM at that time was managing multi-million-dollar projects, dealing with numerous things moving back and forth. And I loved the pieces of that job, which was managing all the things that need to make something happen. I'm one of those people that when I sit down and look at something and try to figure out how to fix it, I can see all the moving pieces and then kind of see how to put them all together. So when I started working anime conventions, I started going to conventions, and I started to find out I didn't enjoy them as much as if I was working them. I was always nitpicking on, well, why are they doing this? I don't understand why they're doing this. If they did this, they could actually fix this. So what I found was I was more of a staffer than a attendee, and you'll hear that a lot from people who are in the staff side of conventions. That usually the reason why we are staff is because we can't turn off the engines whenever we go to conventions. So. Getting to run conventions, I love it. I love it. It doesn't even feel like a job to me, and I hate to say that because it is a job for me. But I love running the conventions. I love all the stuff that we do. I love doing all the work on a day-to-day basis. I've worked more hours on a daily basis now than I ever did whenever I was working for IBM. That's just not because it's a lot of hard work. It is a lot of hard work, but just because it's my passion and I love to do it. So. I would say there is a lot of nuances, and you've got to be really kind of task-oriented and know how to be a human resources manager and how to be a task manager and manage the finances and all that. But at the end of the day, I have a blast running these conventions, and honestly, the The payment to me is on the last day of the convention when I see people walking out the door from closing ceremonies with a smile on their face and excited to go to the next event and hopefully come back to our event next year. So, I mean, I love doing it. If you would have came to me 10 years ago when I was at IBM and said, hey, you know what, in 10 years you're going to be running anime conventions only and you're going to be the happiest you've ever been, I'd have been like, you're crazy. That does not sound fun to me. But here I am, and I would not change anything.
That's fantastic. Now, the reason I ask that is because, some listeners that are listening right now, or even including myself, may want to one day run a convention themselves. And when I talk to people that say they want to start a convention, it takes a lot of commitment and a lot of sacrifice to do so.
Yes.
And it definitely, to run a successful convention, I found to run a successful convention, you also need a really good staff that knows what they're doing. Because I've seen conventions live and die with either a good or poor staff.
Well, and it's a whole bunch of things, and I would say those who are going to be successful running conventions have to be a little bit of everything. They've got to wear multiple hats. But the most important thing is and I say this, and I know some people cringe, but a convention is a business. And if you don't walk into running the convention foremost as thinking it's a business, then you're going to not succeed as well as you could. You could still succeed, but you're not going to succeed as well as you can. Now, what I mean by that is not saying that you need to generate as much money as you can, because that's not why we run these conventions, but you've got to make good fiscal decisions, and you've got to be able to understand the impacts of different things that you do. How is it going to affect your attendee base? What are the things, if you do this year, can you keep on doing them next year? One of the things in business is it sustainable? Is it something that you can do this year and do it again next year? Because if you can do it this year, but you can't do it next year, then you're going to upset attendees next year because you've already set an expectation. And you hit the nail on the head. I have a convention family. I know we call them staff, but honestly, they're my convention family, and we've been doing this for years. And Saboten, Konnichiwa, Saboten Con, and Kokori Con would not be as successful as they are right now if it was not for the core group of convention family that I've grown with since 2008. For those that are thinking of potentially running a convention in the future, do your research. Really start to understand the business side of things. It's really hard to see conventions crop up that are ran for the right reasons, but are ran by a fan who is just running it to run it, but doesn't understand all the moving pieces inside of a convention. And a lot of those conventions will fail, and it's not a failure because they didn't want to try to make it happen. It's a failure because they just couldn't figure out how to get everything working in the right place. And unfortunately, and the bigger piece is, and this is just a true business statement, is you've got to have the money to generate the money. Walking into Saboten, I put more money into Saboten going in than I ever thought I would, just to make sure that we have everything we're doing. So it's not cheap to run a convention, and you are not going to be driving around in Lexuses and Lamborghinis if you do run a convention. I run on a shoestring budget as myself personally, just because this is what I love to do. I mean, I took a huge pay cut whenever I left IBM. I make 20% of what I made whenever I was at IBM, but I'm happier and enjoy it. So I would say for those that are thinking of running a convention, run it for the right reasons, run it for the community. Run it to make sure that you're going to help the community grow. You're going to give something to the community that isn't already there, so you're not affecting other groups. And just make it something that people want to keep on coming back to and have a blast. Personally, and then the person who's thinking of doing it, just make sure you take some business classes, make sure you understand how the conventions run, understand the accounting side of things, and just really get a good understanding of just all the moving pieces. Because, honest, I say it's fun and I enjoy it, and I wouldn't do anything else. But I will say it's a lot of moving pieces you've got to keep, and a lot of balls in the air that you've got to juggle to keep things going.
Exactly. Now on to Saboten. I know there are a bunch of new guests that are coming to Saboten Con this year. Could you tell the listeners who's coming to Saboten and who are they expecting to see?
Sure. I'll do the short list because our guest list is way too long, and I know I'll forget someone just because I think we have over 35 guests this year. But if you look at the main guests, if we look on the voice actor side, you have Ian Sinclair, you have Lauren Landa, you have Alexis Tipton, we have Derek Stephen Prince. I always forget how to say his name in the correct way. On the voice actor side, and I know I'm missing a couple others just because I don't have the list directly in front of me. For the band side of things, which is one of the areas that we keep on growing on a yearly basis, we have Aruma Ryoka coming over from Japan. It's a two-person band coming over more on the gothic Lolita side of things. We also have Moonstream coming in as well. They're another Japanese band. And then, of course, we have Kaza, the band that's been with us for a long time, and she's amazing, and I love her, and I will have her coming to Saboten on a yearly basis until the end of time. For the cosplay side of things, we're excited. We have two international cosplayers this year coming. We have Aloyda coming from the Philippines, and then we have Giada coming from Italy. And then here from the United States, we have Living Ichigo coming from California to kind of round out things, along with Chris Tang, Electric Lady, who is Kara from Phoenix, who moved to Las Vegas. She's going to be coming back down. So we're really excited. This is a big year for us on the cosplay side of things, just because we do have the World Cosplay Summit coming as well, which is a big thing for us, and I think for Saboten overall and just our community. I think it's shown how strong our community is and how much attention we've gained and gleaned just from all the things that we do, that we got recognized this year as being the location for the Southwest Regionals. So we're really excited about that. And then from the kind of gaming voice actor side of things, and I'll kind of round up some of the other voice actors, we have Robert Axelrod, who's coming. He is from Power Rangers. He's Lord Zed. And we have DC Douglas coming as well from the gaming side of things, from voice acting. He's Legion from Mass Effect. So, and there's a whole group other. We have Armand Villavert and James Perry, who are artists here in the Phoenix area, who are going to be coming, and just a smorgasbord of other guests that I just can't keep on naming because I know I'll forget someone, so I'll just leave it at that.
That's fantastic. Now, I know you have a masquerade or a cosplay contest this year. Could you tell the listeners what are they expecting this year from that?
Well, it's the largest anime masquerade here in Arizona, and we're excited this year. We usually take about 50 to 60 entrants, and we've been full every year, and that's with entrants at the convention. As of a week ago, 4 weeks out from the convention, we are 100% full. So this is the first year we're actually going into Saboten with our masquerade being 100% full, so there won't be any at-con registration. I will say, from looking at some of the people who have already entered and some of the outfits that I'm starting to see getting posted on Facebook and Twitter and such, this is going to be a huge masquerade. I think with bringing in the World Cosplay Summit, I think has brought even more talent out of the woodwork to start to show their props and show everything that they're doing. So we're excited. This Saboten's Masquerade, I feel, is probably the best ran masquerade in Arizona. I think in the Southwest, from what I've seen, just because of how well my wife, who's the masquerade director and owner in the convention as well, runs the masquerade. So we're excited. It's growing, and we already have our 60 entrants for this year. So look for some amazing outfits and some amazing skits.
Awesome. Now, do you know who the judges are to judge the contest?
I do. We have not announced them yet, though. Those will be announced here coming up soon. The ones that you would figure out who probably are going to be is Aloyda and Giada. Those two will be judges. I don't think Stacy's announced the other ones, but I know that there's a couple other of the cosplay guests who are going to be judges as well. That's actually going to be announced in our media push that's coming at the end of this week.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that would be interesting to meet them and to see all the fantastic costumes and cosplay that is coming to the masquerade contest. I know I have some friends that have been working extremely hard for the contest, and seeing the pictures on Facebook, I'm like, this is why I don't do the contest, because I have to go up against them.
Well, and understand, and that's the thing is, and that's one of the things we try to let people understand, that don't be intimidated by the Masters. So the masquerade is divided up for that reason, that we want more people to be getting into the masquerade and getting into cosplay. So we have a novice, we have a journeyman, and we have a master's level. And because of how successful we are this year with getting pre-reg, we're probably going to look at maybe even having a professional level next year with people who actually get commissioned to and paid and make that part of their daily life to do costumes. So, I mean, if you're a novice and you're coming to the convention and going to the masquerade, don't be scared just because everybody starts in there. My wife and I did masquerades before we did ran conventions. You have to start out at the lowest levels and get your sewing better and learn how to do props better. So that's the one thing that we always try to do, and I think that's one of the reasons why our cosplay community is so strong, is that we don't have a lot of elitists, and it's amazing to see all of these panels even this year for Saboten that are being ran by some of the high-level cosplayers here in Arizona, and they're doing it because they want everybody to learn how to do cosplay better. So for those who are maybe listening or are kind of intimidated by some of the amazing outfits you're seeing, just realize that there's different levels of competition inside of the masquerade, and you've got to start somewhere, and if you're brand new, you're not going to be competing against the people who've been doing it for years and years and years. So
yes, definitely. Now, what are your favorite moments or memories from past Saboten Cons?
Oh, wow, that's you know, this is going to sound so cheesy, it really is, but honestly, there isn't a moment that isn't for me amazing. I would say probably when we broke 2,000 in year 2. After doing 1,000 the first year. So in 2008, we had 1,000 attendees. In 2009, we did 2,000. So that was a pretty good growth. I think one of the more shining moments for us was when we started to bring in international guests, when we brought Akira in with the Silent Hill Band. I think that was a good foothold for us and kind of got our name out there that we are going to be one of those conventions that's going to bring in the international guests and bring in some of the big names. But honestly, I love running these conventions. I just truly, at the end of the day, I'm smiling right now, and it's funny because if we were doing a video, you could actually see it. This is just, I love doing this. I love running the conventions. I love giving these attendees everything that they want and need, and I mean, I love listening to the feedback and seeing the things we can change. So honestly, if you said, well, what's the worst thing and what's the best thing for the convention, I really can't pick out a worst thing just because I love running these conventions, and everything's a growing and learning experience, and everything in the convention itself is just, I love it. I love running these conventions.
Nice. Now, if you could get any anime guests, like voice actor or in general, who would you like to get in the future, or even been talking to?
So any anime guest. So if you're asking me if the lotto was won and I could pull whatever guest I wanted.
Yes.
Oh, it's Miyazaki. So I mean, and that, because you just saw the announcement that they're actually closing down the movie shop. That's probably not going to happen. We always joke that we said if Saboten ever had Miyazaki, we'd rename it Miyazaki Con, and that'd probably be the end of Saboten, because you really can't do anything better than bringing out the greatest person, I would argue, for that helped grow the anime side of things by getting it more visible to the masses. So, and his movies are amazing.
Oh yeah,
but
definitely stateside as well.
Yeah, well, and I mean, yeah. So I mean, if you ask me who's the guest that I would fall over from a hyperventilation just because of how excited, it would be him. Other than that, I mean, there isn't a voice actor that I don't like, and there isn't. Every voice actor out there is amazing, and I just love their voices, and I love the characters that they portray. So, if you say who's number two, there really isn't there isn't anyone that's any more on my plate to try to bring out than another. But I mean, Miyazaki would be the one that I would just love to have out. I know Yoshitaka Amano, I would love to bring out sometime as well. But I know that he's more focused on doing San Diego Comic-Con and not looking at some of the, unfortunately, some of the smaller conventions in our region. So.
Yeah, if you got Miyazaki coming out, you would have to rent out the whole Jobbing.com arena for that panel.
We'd have to open up the convention center downtown in Phoenix just to have that convention. So yeah, exactly.
But no, that would be fantastic, and I know that people would come from here and there all across the country just to see Miyazaki.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I regretted not going to see him at San Diego Comic-Con that year. Unfortunately, the tickets already been sold out by the time they announced he was coming. So.
Yeah, they probably sold out in 5 minutes.
Exactly.
All right. We're actually getting close to near the end of our interview. I'm actually just speeding this along. Okay. Because some of our listeners have ADD and can only listen for so long. I found that out, making just pretty much asking people, how long do you listen to an interview or a podcast? And I found out that they only listen to maybe 15, 20 minutes at most, if anything. So.
Yep. No, makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I can make this on forever and ever and ever, but they would probably be tired by the minute 25. So.
Yep.
All right. So, do you have anything else to talk about? Your upcoming conventions, not just Sabo, but conventions later on this year or even next year.
Oh yeah, I would say just look at all the other conventions we have. We have a new FurCon that we picked up this year, Arizona FurCon, which will be Halloween weekend at the Hilton Squaw Peak, and then the weekend after that, up in Flagstaff, will be KakuriCon, our anime convention up in Flagstaff. And then if we look at the beginning of 2015, the first one we have coming up is Konnichiwa down in Tucson. Moved to the convention center this year. Going to be at the convention center again next year. We grew by leaps and bounds this year, so I'd expect next year to be another good growth period. And then our anime convention in Albuquerque at the end of April, Saboten Con, which is growing rapidly as well. So a good year this year for all of our conventions for growth and just getting more community involvement.
Nice. And before we leave, could you tell a little bit about the sponsors that are sponsoring Saboten this year?
So we have so this year, and you should have told me this before, so I don't forget anybody.
Sorry about that.
So no, that's okay. So I know we have Crunchyroll, we have Bookman's. We just actually built a good relationship with the Film Bar down here in Phoenix, who shows a lot of the anime that's here in the Phoenix area. We do work with other local indie theaters as well in Albuquerque and in Tucson. Let me see here. Funimation, of course, they're actually going to have a booth this year at Saboten as well.
Oh, nice.
And I feel like I'm missing some. Denver Dolls, which gives us a lot of our prize support for our BJD side of the convention. And then also, why am I drawing a blank here? I can't remember who the other person is that I was just going to say. So look on our website. We actually have the list of our sponsors on there that we'll have. We keep on adding to them. So
fantastic. Now, how much is it to get in the convention at the door or online?
Online right now, full event is $45. At the door will be $50. So the price online, the door price will just be $5 more. And that is one of the things that we are excited to say that in the past 5 years for Saboten, we have not raised our prices once for our full event badge, which is pretty impressive if you look at how the economy's changed and how the conventions have kind of kept on increasing their pricing.
Yeah, exactly. And you've actually increased it to another day. Is that correct?
That is correct. We're 4 days now, and we did not increase our full event pricing.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if I could do the whole 4 days. I tried that at Phoenix, and it almost killed me. But, yeah, seriously, it almost killed me. So I may be able to do all 3 days, and except for Monday, but I am really looking forward to this convention. And I know a lot of our listeners are definitely looking forward. They already have all their cosplays set up and all their panels listed. And definitely, well, check it out if you can.
Yep.
Well, I would like to thank Greg Fennell for coming on tonight to GNERD CONpalooza. And also, I would like to thank our listeners who are listening right now for listening to our premiere episode. Don't forget to check out Saboten Con, going on August 29th through September 1st in Glendale, Arizona. Please go to sabotencon.com and check out the website and order your tickets online right now. And also, please go to our Facebook at facebook.com/JPOOL's GNERD Corner. We're also on Twitter. And also visit Geek-O-Rama.net and check out all their articles on that website as well. And thank you for listening. All right, well, thank you for being on tonight.